Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Night of a Thousand Stars. Thank you so much for being here. Even though it's the Night of a Thousand Stars, it's about 6, but that's okay. They're amazing. So first up is going to be a song played by one of our stars, Matt Parker. And he plays the tenor sax, and here he is.
Yay! How y'all doing? I'm gonna play a really nice song that I really like. It's an old standard called All the Things You Are. This is saxophone, for anyone who doesn't know. Tenor saxophone, to be more specific.
Thank you so much, Matt. All right, so my name is Kelly Callahan, and I'm a resident. I've been here almost 18 years, and big, huge fan of the library, and was involved with Friends of the Library a few years ago. Talked to Greg, our president, and this is the second year that I'm doing the Night of 1,000 Stars. So we have a great lineup tonight. First being two superstars, literally. We are going, first thing before I start, I'm going to tell a little bit about what the Friends of the Public Library do. We're a non-profit organization dedicated to the enhancement of library services in Simsbury. And if you look in your program, you'll see all the different programs that they support. Everything from computers, 3D printers, sewing machines, the free museum passes. What I love is the materials to homebound patrons. And then also the coffee service upstairs, all the author lectures, day trips to different points of interest, even the grand piano that's in the program room. We also have the investor angels who provide the funds to build the enclosure in the teen section and the makerspace. So my first superstars are Amanda and Alexa Gallagher. Alexa was in my first grade class many years ago, and I just love this family. And they had a big year this year. They are both on the Simsbury High School basketball team, and they won the state champs, and it's so cool. They did it together. So without further ado, here are the players. So to show the next pictures, you can, and then I can, when you're ready for the video, let me know, and I'll get it on for you. Thank you. Sit right here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Gallagher, and I'm a senior at Simsbury High School.
And I'm Alexa Gallagher, and I'm a junior at Simsbury High School.
This year, we were both captains for the Simsbury girls basketball team, and as Mrs. Callahan said, it was a special season because we did something no other girls basketball team in Simsbury High School history has ever done, which was winning a state championship.
In its history, SHS has only won 2 basketball championships, and both were boys' teams. The first was in 1924, and the second was in 1952. That was the year our grandfather, Jim Gallagher, who was an all-state player, won the title.
1952 to 2024. 72 years is a long time without a title. That's not to say we've been bad for all these years. We've had some great teams and great players for both the girls and the boys. We've just been a little unlucky or run into better teams. And that's just sports. Sometimes the best players falter or have a bad break. But one of the great things about sports is the tide always changes.
And for Simsbury High School girls basketball, that change began in 2013 when Coach Zulo was hired. Coach Zulo is the son of a legendary basketball coach from upstate New York. And when he arrived in Simsbury, he had a plan and he wanted to accomplish it. And he hit the ground running. It helps that he knows the game better than anyone. He's super encouraging to every player and is always prepared.
One of the first things he did was establish our motto, "We are one," meaning that we are a community, a Simsbury basketball family. That family extends from all former players that have already graduated to the future generations of kids coming through our youth program. This slogan may be best demonstrated every Saturday morning during basketball season from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's when all of Coach Zulo's JV and varsity players volunteer to teach the local youth in Simsbury how to play basketball. 2 years ago, Alexa and I worked with Coach Zulo to start a preschool program to allow kids to learn the game at an even younger age. For the past 2 years, we have directed this program together, teaching these kids the basics of basketball and teamwork. We also went through this youth program when we were kids, and the girls that taught us, Ellie and Mary McElroy, Katie and Sarah Perlitz, Coach Bree, Coach Day, Emily Alonzo, Allie Davis, and so many more. They continue to be a big part of our lives. We meet frequently and share life experiences, and they mentor us, maybe less about basketball and more about life, like decisions on college and career. This is all part of Coach Zulo's plan and one of the ways we are able to give back to our community and each other. This year, the people from the CIC put together a video, and we'd love to show you that. Is that?
Yeah, wait.
I don't.
Stay right there.
When I walk in and have all the kids lined up on the wall and I say, "Are you guys ready for basketball today?" and they all scream, that gets me excited. That makes me know we're doing something right. I want to keep it going for sure.
You guys ready for some basketball?
We're working, putting hoops up and down and changing the sizes so we have kids shooting on the right size baskets. We go from 8 a.m. all the way until 3 p.m. We've got over 400 kids, and it goes pre-K through 4th grade, both boys and girls.
Green team right here.
I love children. Seeing the little twinkle in their eye, knowing that they love the sport that I'm helping them grow into is great.
Good job.
So I work with mostly the pre-K and kindergarten, and I definitely get some wonky questions and comments, and a lot of them are just fun facts. Usually the questions are like not even related to basketball, so it could be about just like a favorite color or something not even close, but it's great. It makes everyone feel so happy and laugh about it.
Even after a great win, after a tough loss, it's always refreshing to come here in the morning and work with all the little kids and teach them how to play basketball, which is a sport I love.
Let's go.
It's so important to us. Our coach has built this from the ground up and worked so hard on building such a good community and base for our future for the Simsbury High School girls basketball and even boys basketball.
I got the girls basketball job 11 years ago in Simsbury, and when I first got here, there was no youth basketball program in town. The YMCA ran a program and they used some of Simsbury gym space, so there were kids playing basketball, but from where I come from in New York, it was just surprising to me that we didn't have our own program and that basketball wasn't a bigger deal in Simsbury overall. I worked with the town and I was very fortunate to have people willing to work with me that we ended up starting a program 10 years ago now. We had about 100 kids the first year and now over the years we've grown to over 400. The big thing you're witnessing here today with the girls working the program, that grew on its own.
I was one of these kids at one point, and every year I did the program, a high schooler was my coach, and I actually looked up to them. I became a little attached, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to be this person. It was so cool. I loved having a high school coach, and I just kind of want to help the next generation have that same experience.
The seniors were in 3rd grade when we started, so they were the first group of our 3rd, 4th grade full court program. And my current freshmen were kindergartners, and a number of them were in this program in kindergarten, the first one ever, which is pretty neat.
I remember actually in the mornings coming here and being so excited to see all my coaches and all the varsity players because growing up, all I did was watch them on the court, and they were basically celebrities to all of us.
I knew I wanted to have my players help in the program, but I had no idea what it would turn into. And it's become its own thing to see them actually not just helping, but running programs and being mentors and role models for the kids has become a really special thing. This is a 10-week program that we have here. Parks and Recreation did a great job helping us start it up, and we created a nonprofit in town. So Simsbury Youth Basketball is actually an official nonprofit organization. Some of the girls get volunteer hours, some of the girls get paid if they don't need volunteer hours as contractors, but every extra dime that goes into it doesn't go into anybody's pocket. It goes back into reinvesting in basketball in the town. We have 18 different girls on our team working it now. I always tell them, if you can't do it, it's okay. If you don't want to, if you have other things, it's okay, it's optional. And every single one of them show up and do it and put in the work, and they do it for multiple hours, and it's just become really neat.
I honestly didn't really expect me to actually be the high schooler that was coaching me at the time. Yeah, my mom has like all these pictures, and every once in a while it just like pops up on her phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, because I could barely make a layup back in 3rd grade. I can make layups in games against some of the best athletes in the state. So it's really crazy where we start and where we end.
To see them having learned from other players too that played for me, and now they're the ones coaching, is awesome. But to see the people that they become is even more amazing. They have these kids that are looking up to them as their role models now, and then they come to their games and cheer for them, and it's something I'm very proud of.
Just now, after the first session we just did, we had a bunch of kids come up to us and say thank you, and it means so much to us because everyone loves to do it. Our slogan's "We are one." We're getting so many more kids joining these programs who want to be a part of this, and it's become a community, and it's so much bigger than basketball now, and it's a family, a girls basketball family.
I have some more pictures if you want to share. That's the video by Marshall. I love this photo. When they sent this photo to me, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So do you want to just like go down?
Okay. That's good. Not only did Coach Zulo create this winning culture off the court, he also established a winning culture on the court. This year, in his 11th season, he won his 177th game, an SHS record for most girls basketball wins. In my 4 years, we've compiled a record of 77-15. We have been to the state semifinals, state quarterfinals, and we won the first girls CCC league title, and of course, a state championship. So after 72 years of coming up short, it finally looks like the tide has turned and the future looks bright.
As children, one of the poems my dad loved to read us was Casey at the Bat. As you all know, it is a story of a sports hero's failure and his fall from grace. There is a little-known follow-up to that poem that my dad liked to read. It was written some years later, called Casey's Revenge. Although it is a poem about baseball and not basketball, at its core, it is a story of redemption and success.
This is kind of a long poem, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read like half of it, and to give some context, it picks up where the first one left off, and Casey's in a slump, and he's up at bat to win the game, bases loaded and 2 outs. Okay. All Mudville had assembled, 10,000 fans had come, to see the twirler who had put Big Casey on the bum. And when he stepped into the box, the multitude went wild. He doffed his cap in proud disdain, but Casey only smiled. "Play ball," the umpire's voice rang out, and then the game began. But in that throng of thousands, there was not a single fan who thought that Mudville had a chance, and with the setting sun, their hopes sank low. The rival team was leading 4-1. The last half of the ninth came round with no change in the score, but when the first man up hit safe, the crowd began to roar. The din increased, the echo of 10,000 shouts was heard, when the pitcher hit the second and gave 4 balls to the third. 3 men on base, nobody out, 3 runs to tie the game. A triple meant the highest niche in Mudville's Hall of Fame. But here the rally ended, and the gloom was deep as night, when the 4th went foul to the catcher, and the 5th flew out to right. A dismal groan in chorus came, a scowl was on each face, when Casey walked up, bat in hand, and slowly took his place. His bloodshot eyes in fury gleamed, his teeth were clenched in hate. He gave his cap a vicious hook and pounded on the plate. But fame is fleeting as the wind and glory fades away. There were no wild and woolly cheers, no glad acclaim this day. They hissed and groaned and hooted as they clamored, "Strike him out," but Casey gave no outward sign that he had heard the shout. The pitcher smiled and cut one loose. Across the plate it sped. Another hiss, another groan. "Strike 1, the umpire said. Zip, like a shot, the second curve broke just below the knee. "Strike 2, the umpire roared aloud, but Casey made no plea. No roasting for the umpire now. His was an easy lot. But here the pitcher whirled again. Was that a rifle shot? A whack, a crack, and out through the space the leather pellet flew. A blot against the distant sky, a speck against the blue. Above the fence in center field, in rapid whirling flight, the sphere sailed on. The blot grew dim, and then was lost to sight. 10,000 hats were thrown in the air, 10,000 threw a fit. But no one ever found the ball that mighty Casey hit. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, dark clouds may hide the sun. And somewhere bands no longer play, and children have no fun. And somewhere over blighted lives there hangs a heavy pall. But Mudville hearts are happy now, for Casey hit the ball.
In a way, it is a story of our basketball program. It took 72 years and Coach Zulo to do it. But it looks like we are back on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you so much, you two. I really appreciate it. All right, next up we have a local author who's incredible. She has a great story. I met her perchance we were at some school in, a book event in West Hartford through Castle, and we sat next to each other and we started playing the name game, and all of a sudden I realized that my fourth grade class are pen pals with her son's class over at Latimer. So she came to read to both of our classes. We took a school bus over to Latimer, and she is just incredible. I fell in love with her. I know you will too. So here is Charnay Gordon.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to put my book down here for a second. Okay. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here tonight, here to chat with you all about myself, my books. So my story is very interesting. So first of all, I moved here with my family, my husband and our two children. We moved here in the summer of 2019. We moved from Middletown. We were looking for a better school system, which is how we ended up here in Simsbury. We used to live in Middletown. And so we sold our house, moved here in the summer, right before COVID hit, got to explore a little bit of the town, and then everything got shut down for 2 years. But my kids did get a chance to get into the school system. My kids go to Latimer Lane, and I currently have a 6th grader. My daughter is 11, excuse me. And my son is 10, so he's in 4th grade. So my daughter will be going to Henry James next year. But so I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and now I am a children's book author. My background, my educational background is actually in IT. So I was a computer programmer, developer for a company. I worked at that company for 14 years. And then in 2020, I decided to start working for myself. I took a risk on myself. The way that I did that, I started my blog back in 2015, and I just started talking about children's books, specifically diverse children's books. It was just something that I'm passionate about. I was always reading with my kids. I've always been an avid reader and writer. And when I had my kids back in 2015, they were 1 and 2. And people were always asking me, like my friends, we all had kids around the same time. And so everybody was like, oh, what books are you reading with your kids? And so I was like, you know what, let me just start writing about this. And so in 2015, I started my blog. Just at that point, I was working full time. So it was just from a place of passion. And I just started sharing these awesome, diverse children's books that I was reading with my kids. And fast forward to 2019, I was approached by children's book publishers, and they asked me to write children's books for them. And when I first was asked, I was like, I'm not a writer. Like, I've never written a book ever in my life. Then I thought about it, and I decided, yes, I can do this. So 2019, I signed my first 2 book contracts with publishers. And then the publishers just kept coming from there. So far I have 7 published children's books with various different publishers. Most of the books you see up here, I've written 2 on my own, and then everything else was a collaboration with some of my other author friends. I decided to start a podcast. I have a nonprofit. What else do I do? I work with brands, so I'm also a content creator. I have long-term partnerships with brands, like I'm working now with Amazon, and I'm doing a partnership with Meta, Facebook, or Instagram. I've worked with Lakeshore Learning. I've done various different things over the years, and my social media platform has grown to nearly almost 400,000 followers across all of my social media. So I know some of my followers are here tonight, so thank you for following. But yeah, that's my story. And
Tonight, I am going to be reading from one of my children's books. It's called A Friend Like You. This year, I do have another children's book coming out in September. And then in January of next year, I have a really exciting educational flashcard series coming out with Barnes & Noble nationwide. So I'm really excited about those flashcards. So anyway, I'm going to read A Friend Like You that I wrote with my friend, Frank Murphy. And I hope by the end of this that we can all be friends too. Okay. So here's my family. A couple of pictures. These are older pictures when my kids were smaller. That's my husband. And that one is more recent. We took that back in December. And then how do I keep going?
I also have, let's see, here's some other cute pictures of you.
So other pictures here. This woman here in the pink fuchsia, her name is Rhoda Ahmed. She's my friend. She's an author as well. She wrote a children's book that you may have heard of before called May Among the Stars. It's about Mae Jemison, the astronaut. So her and I did a collaboration together with this book called Etta Extraordinaire. And that one that you see over there, Etta Extraordinaire, goes to the White House. That's the book that's coming out this September. So it's all about voting and, it's an election year. But the election is a whole nother story. Yeah. What else did you have?
And then I also have your book, actually.
Okay.
I have it right here. So if you want to just scroll through the pictures as you read them.
Okay, so I have to scroll. Okay, got it.
Do it that way?
Sure, of course. Yeah, of course. So the title of this book is A Friend Like You, written by Frank Murphy and myself, Sharnae Gordon, illustrated by Kayla Heron. You'll meet thousands and thousands and thousands of people in your lifetime. Some you will only meet once. Some you'll get to know a little. And you'll get to know some people so well that you'll call them friends. Some of these friends will become supportive friends, honest friends, generous friends, true friends, forever friends, best friends. Go out into the world and make friends. The world needs a friend like you. Be a curious friend. Asking questions is a good way to start friendships. Listen with an open heart and mind. When you are a better listener, you can ask better questions. Getting to know someone's stories, thoughts, and ideas matters. It shows you care. Be an accepting friend. Some people you meet will be from places that are far, far away. But most of them will be from right around the corner. A few will look just like you. A few will practically be your opposite. Many will believe what you believe. Even more will not. Be an open-minded friend. Become friends with all kinds of people. The only way to learn how to get along with people who are different from you is by being with them. Find out things you both like to do and do them together. Be a flexible friend. You might like to wear high tops while your friend likes to wear flip-flops. A friend might like to snack on sushi, but you prefer pizza. You might stay up all night reading while a friend spends all night watching movies. Try something new with a friend, and no matter what, celebrate each other. Be a forgiving friend. Your friends will make mistakes. You will too. Everyone makes mistakes. Friends say sorry and move on. Be a kind friend. Friends share. They share things like toys and games and snacks, but they also share ideas and goals and hopes and dreams. Sharing makes friendships stronger, so share often. Be a thoughtful friend. When you're feeling down, maybe you'll help them up. When a friend is feeling down, maybe you'll help them up. Or maybe life is feeling loud and you can be a quiet place. Whatever you do, being there when they need you is what matters most. Be an ally. An ally is one of the most powerful things you can be for a friend. It means a friend can trust you to stand up and speak out for them, even when you're not there. A friend and ally will always have your back, and you will always have theirs. That's what true friends do. It doesn't matter if it's a friend you grow up with or a friend you meet when you're all grown up. Play together, laugh with each other, dream together. One day you'll notice you weren't just having fun, you were making memories. The memories you make together will last a lifetime. So go out into the world and make friends. Be curious and accepting, forgiving and kind. Be a true friend. The world needs a friend like you. The end. And then in the back, we just talk more about friendship. We have a few activities for children, and that's it. So that's the book. We weren't doing Q&A, right? Because we don't have time. Okay, yeah. Sure.
So Charlotte has a lot of her books over and decide if you're interested
Yeah.
in perusing them.
And I do, before I end, I want to just give a shout out. I am also the program director at the Simsbury Free Library in town. I work with Tara Willerup in the back, who is the executive director. So come by and visit us at the library, Tuesdays and Thursdays and every second and fourth Saturday. Thank you.
So next up, we have Matt Parker again to hear all about his story.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, everybody. Okay, yeah, I can. Yeah. Hi, I'm Matt Parker. Oops. I did.
It was a little temperamental today when we started. There it is, we're back.
I'm Matt Parker, and I'm a musician and a composer. I moved to Simsbury recently as well with my family, my wife and our two boys, in the summer of 2020. So we were some of the very first people that you might have seen coming from New York City. We moved from Brooklyn, New York, and it didn't take us very long, approximately 3 months of a shutdown in New York City for us to realize what really was important to us and our family looking ahead. Being a musician, it was always my dream. I'm originally from South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, in Miami, and I could not imagine moving to New York any faster than I actually did. As soon as I graduated high school, I wanted to be in the big city where all the other jazz musicians were living and creating incredible art. And I'm very happy that I lived my life there for 25 years doing that. I never really imagined that I would ever leave there until I met my beautiful wife, and then we decided to expand our family, and then that's just kind of one of the miracles that happens, and your dreams kind of start shifting a little bit, and the things that you really thought you would always want start including a yard, and quietness, and just all kinds of new things that came into our lives that we didn't really know we wanted. And we're just so happy and thankful that we found Simsbury, because we didn't know anybody when we moved here, and it turned out it was a really weird time to move anywhere at that time. Like you said, almost 2 years of a shutdown, but we were completely, we had something, everything going for us. We ended up moving on to an incredible street, found a beautiful home, and incredible neighbors, and everyone opened their hearts to us right away here in Simsbury. So that's how we came to be here. Now, there's not as many nightclubs and jazz clubs here, so I have gotten very used to driving 2,000 miles a week to New York City on weeks where I'm playing in the city every night, and everyone in New York thinks I'm absolutely, completely bonkers, but I said, you have no idea where I get to go back to. And it's reflected every single day for us when we're on the baseball field or we're here at the public library, which we frequent all the time. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of let you know how I've been continuing on living here, which is the second part of my title, which is composing. I found one of the nice things from moving from a 450 square foot apartment in Brooklyn to a 3-story home, or a 2-story with a basement, but we'll definitely call that basement a 3rd story. We used to call our closet studio. So all things, it's all perspective. I'm able to write and compose and produce from home, something that I had started doing in our living room, kitchen, dining room, TV room, in our whole apartment. And when I moved that operation into a basement, I found that I could do so much more. And I'm very fortunate enough to have been able to start writing for films and television and all kinds of different ways to create music from right here in Simsbury that people are going to, are offering to pay for my services. And it's very excited that I have a movie coming out this weekend. It's a silly kind of movie, but it's my first kind of big Hollywood movie. It's called Pool Man. It's not going to be showing here in Hartford, but it had Danny DeVito in it. So I was really pumped that I was watching Danny DeVito and Annette Bening on my screen in Simsbury and writing really cool music cues for them. So it was in a way, it was all the best case scenarios lining up for me. Okay, well, that's who I am. So nice to meet you all. I decided to, let's see what this is. Yeah, so I perform all over. I still tour. I just got back from a regional tour with a group called Postmodern Jukebox, which is a group that was started in New York City by a bunch of musicians that were all attended University of Hartford, coincidentally. No, I mean, just funny how it worked out that way. And we played 42 cities in 46 days, I believe. This picture right here is at the Infinity Hall in Hartford. And that is the Jazz Standard, which unfortunately is no longer here, with the Charles Mingus Big Band in New York City. I try to collaborate as much as I can as well. Sorry, I forgot about the pictures, so I'm just throwing some context into them. I love collaborating with different art forms, and right here I'm at the Joyce Theater in New York City working with the very talented Michelle Dorrance and her Dorrance Dance Company. They are an incredible tap dance American art form company, and then that is me playing at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in Brooklyn. Yay, we love. There, okay. That's, again, that's Michelle's company right there. I thought I would read a little bit from my, this is kind of the first book I ever read. I am dyslexic and didn't read my first full book until I was 33 years old. And this was the first book I read after reading a book on dyslexia. So it took me 33 years to kind of figure out that might be a good book to read. And it was really incredible because I loved Count Basie's music so much. One of the things that I was always, there's this rumor that I had heard, and which was, I just found so incredibly empowering, which was if anybody doesn't know, Count Basie is a piano player. Not only is he a piano player, but he kind of set the tone for swing music in the 1930s and 40s, and he went on to have a career that spanned almost 70 years of performing. His thing that I found so fascinating is that his big break was he wanted to be in the hottest band at the time in the late 1920s, which was the Benny Moten Big Band. And Benny Moten was an incredible piano player. And so I always heard this story about how one piano player who nobody had heard of wanted to be in a band of another piano player's band. And he goes through talking about just so how he figured out how to do that. And he indeed became the piano player in Benny Moten's band after convincing him that he would do much better if he got off the piano and stood up in front of the audience, which went on to be one of the staples of swing music. You will see so many images of Duke Ellington or Chick Webb or Benny Goodman standing out in front looking at the audience. And Benny Moten was kind of pegged as one of the first people to do that. And technically, it was all the brainchild of another piano player just looking for a gig. So I thought that would be a really interesting to see that book. It's a kind of hefty book, so I didn't really know when you asked me what to read. It took me a second to figure out where to go, so I just thought I'll just read the very last bit of the book, just the very, very end, and let you guys read it on your own time, some of the other things. And I'll just jump right in. And of course, I was also game. I was always game. I have to put that in here too. If something came up, I was willing to try it. That doesn't mean I was always changing what I was doing because I was out there trying to latch on to the latest thing that came along. Some people are like that, not me. Naturally, there are things that come up over the course of years, and you have to adjust to them because that is the way life is. But I've been seeing people get away from who they are and what they can do, something that they are just wonderful at, just because they are trying to have that thing, something new that is happening. You don't have to do that. You don't have to leave from where you are. Never forget that you are special, that you can still be yourself and grow and keep up with the times. If you are going to grow, you must go this way. When I say I was always game, I mean being willing to take a big chance on yourself because you want to do what you want to do. Because when I say that I'm thinking about how I jumped at the offer to go out on the Columbia wheel with Katie Krippig, and the things that I did out on the TOB with Gonzalez White's Jamboree, and how I got my first job playing organ at the Ebelon Theater in Kansas City, and how I left the Ebelon the first time to join the Blue Devils, and the second time just to see if there was any way to get with Benny Moten, and so on, to how I did what I did to take over that job at the Reno and start the 3-3 and 3s outfit. That got me the attention that brought me back to New York and into the big time. I was always willing to say, let's see what happens. When something came up that looked like it might help me get closer to where I wanted to be, and since that's the way I still am, that really old Count Basie, right up to this date, motor scooter and all. As my co-writer says, autobiographies don't have endings. It's like when I segue into the out chorus of 1 O'Clock Jump to wrap up a dance set or a concert at a stage or a nightclub show. I'm not saying that this is the end. I'm just saying that's all for now. I'm saying to be continued until we meet again. Meanwhile, keep on listening and tapping your feet. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was so great to hear your story. Okay. So next up, we have a very, very special person, Mrs. Maggie Seidel. She is currently our Simsbury High School principal. I was very blessed to first meet her ages and ages ago. I mean, a long time ago. I did a short stint in Avon, and you were a 5th grade teacher. You should see this girl teach. She is unbelievable. And I know your head's gonna be like this about this. And then when I ever found out that I showed up to Squadron one day, and it was after the summer, and Dem Pigham said, "Oh, we have a new, vice principal." And I said, "Oh, who is it?" She said, Maggie Seidel. And I said, No, wait a minute. You don't understand. We are getting the best of the best. So then she moved on to Tooten to be principal there, and then the director of technology and library media for Simsbury, and now the high school snagged her. So without much ado, and you posted pictures in there too.
This one? Okay.
Let me know your story. You can just go out of it, and your story's up there.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the invite, Kelly. I feel honored to be here I'm the 7th of 9 children, and 6 of us are educators. So you can imagine my home growing up with all of that. So reading was such an important part of what we did as a family. Obviously, with so many of us, there wasn't a lot of vacations and things like that, but we always had books. And my mom and dad really made it a point to always read to us. And I feel honored to be able to be here tonight. And, through my journey as an educator, I was a special education teacher, and watching and helping and supporting kids unlock that love for reading, whether it be through an audible book, whether it be able to be, read on their own, was always something that was a really key part of who I was as a teacher, and continues to be who I am as an administrator when I'm helping and supporting kids to access the curriculum and find their gifts and talents. So when Kelly said to me, you got to pick a book, I was like, whew, that's a tough one. So I chose tonight a book that I shared with my own children to begin with. It's called The Kissing Hand, but it really started to come back around as I think about my first set of graduating seniors that are going off to college, and thinking about them making this transition, and having a son who's a junior, and thinking about my having to hand him off, and the powerful story that comes from this book by Audrey Penn about always keeping the people that you're closest closest to with you, even when they're not physically there with you. So I wanted to share this book as I think about my own children, my graduating seniors, my first class, and all of those people in my life that have been that person in the palm of my hand when I've taken some leaps of faith and really taken my trust in them with me as I've taken some adventures and some courage in those times of need. So Kelly gave me some tasks. Oh, there's my family, my boys, who have had this book read to them over and over and over again, and my oldest doesn't know it, but he will be hearing it again before he leaves for college, and probably before he gets married and all those things. So, and there they are again. And that's one of my favorite students. I couldn't help it. I had to put her there. She always likes to wear my badge, and she likes to pretend she's me. She always says, "Maggie Seidel, come in. This is Maggie." So she loves to pretend to be me. And this is the story, The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn. Perfect. All right. All right. Chester Raccoon stood at the edge of the forest and cried, "I don't want to go to school," he told his mother. "I want to stay home with you. I want to play with my friends. I want to play with my toys and read my books and swing on the swing. May I please stay home with you?" Mrs. Raccoon took Chester by the hand and nuzzled him on the ear. "Sometimes we all have to do things we don't want to do," she told him gently, "even if they seem strange and scary at first. But you will love school once you start. You'll make new friends and you'll play with new toys. You'll read new books and swing on the swings. Besides," she added, "I know a wonderful secret that will make your nights at school seem as warm and cozy as your days at home." Chester wiped away his tears and looked interested. "A secret? What kind of secret?" "A very old secret," said Mrs. Raccoon. "I learned it from my mother, and she learned it from hers. It's called the kissing hand." "The kissing hand?" asked Chester. "What's that?" "I'll show you." Mrs. Raccoon took Chester's left hand and spread open his tiny fingers into a fan. Leaning forward, she kissed Chester right in the middle of his palm. Chester felt his mother's kiss rush from his hand up his arm and into his heart. Even his silky black mask tingled with a special warmth. Mrs. Raccoon smiled. "Now," she told Chester, "whenever you feel lonely and need a little loving from home, just press your hand to your cheek and think, 'Mommy loves you, Mommy loves you.' And that very kiss will jump to your face and fill you with a toasty, warm thought." She took Chester's hand and carefully wrapped his fingers around the kiss. "Now, do be careful not to lose it," she teased him. "But don't worry. When you open your hand and wash your food, I promise the kiss will still stick." Chester loved his kissing hand. Now he knew his mother's love would go with him wherever he went, even to school. That night, Chester stood in front of his school and looked thoughtful. Suddenly, he turned to his mother and grinned. "Give me your hand," he told her. Chester took his mother's hand in his own and unfolded her large, familiar fingers into a fan. Next, he leaned forward and kissed the center of her hand. "Now you have a kissing hand too," he told her. And with a gentle goodbye and an "I love you," Chester turned and danced away. Mrs. Raccoon watched Chester scamper across a tree limb and enter school. And as the hoot owl rang in the new school year, she pressed her left hand to her cheek and smiled. The warmth of Chester's kiss filled her heart with special words. "Chester loves you," it sang. "Chester loves you." And that's the end. I love you.
So I'm trying not to get a little choked up because I have a senior who has known Mrs. Seidel ever since, I think Erin was 2 when you first met her. And the first thing she said when Maggie got hired this year to be the high school principal, she said, "Oh, that is really cool because she's going to be the one to hand me my diploma." And I said, "Yes, she is." So yes, very, very exciting. Also with Amanda as well, and some other of my friends who have seniors here. Okay, next up, our last reader for the night is someone incredibly special and newish to our town. If you I'm just so thankful that they opened up Grassroots in the middle of town, because now for our parades and everything else, and for our kids, they can walk right down. So Jennifer Sproul is here to tell you her story about being the new owner of Grassroots. Here we go.
Thank you so much for having me tonight and for the warm welcome to Simsbury. I'm actually speaking on behalf of myself, my husband, and my brother, because we all own Grassroots together. And about 2 years ago, we decided to do this absolutely crazy thing. I've been an English teacher. I'm currently a high school English teacher. And I decided I wanted to be an English teacher when I first learned to read, and thought this was just about the most extraordinary thing of all time. And I went right home, set up my stuffed animals and my little sister in the basement, and started teaching her to read. She did not volunteer for this, and she did not enjoy it, and she always tried to sneak away. And I never, aside from a period in 6th grade where I wanted to be a singer like Madonna, I really stuck to my plan that I wanted to be a teacher when I grew up. So much so that my senior year in high school, I was given like a made-up award that I don't think was real, that was like, you are going to be a teacher someday award at the awards assembly. So I've always wanted to do exactly what I'm doing now, and picking up on some themes that we heard tonight. Plans change, and it's one of the most exciting things about life. Is I thought plan A was pretty spectacular, and plan B sort of came around the corner, and I'm getting to work with my husband and my brother. And the reason it really works so well, because I'm leaving teaching after this year to work full-time at Grassroots, which I've been doing part-time. It works because we all have totally different experiences we're bringing to the table. My brother is a chef from Dallas, and he spent many years on the Dallas food scene. He's a very talented chef. He worked in really high-end upscale restaurants there. My husband was in finance for years, and so he brings a business sense and an entrepreneurial background. And I bring a love of language, a love of people, and as the oldest of 5 growing up, an ability to make things organized and set up systems. So that's my greatest strength. So 2 years ago, would never in a million years have thought this was what we were going to do, but we decided to buy this extraordinary ice cream shop and street food restaurant. And we're on this journey together. We're having so much fun. As you know, our latest venture was opening in Simsbury. If you haven't been, shameless plug, we'd love you to go by. But we hope this is the beginning of a really exciting, fun story as a family, and are looking forward to the next chapter. So any one of us could have spoken tonight, but the reason I'm speaking is because when I heard that we were going to be talking both about ice cream and getting to read a poem, I nearly fell out of my chair, because that's like the combination of my 2 favorite things. And I instantly knew what poem I would want to read tonight, which is Books by Billy Collins. He's one of my absolute favorite poets. And in this day and age with TikTok and streaming, this poem just reminds me of that love of literature and the escape and the joy that stories offer. Books by Billy Collins. Oh, and oops. My family, I meant to talk about them too. So something that's been really rewarding about working with Grassroots is it's a full family affair. If you go by Grassroots, you've probably already seen my older 3 scooping. So it's been really fun to see them roll up their sleeves and work hard. What they say about family businesses is true. It's all hands on deck at all times. Rolling up our sleeves together. So it's been really exciting to see my kids learning the value of hard work and pitching in as well. All right. Books by Billy Collins. From the heart of this dark, evacuated campus, I can hear the library humming in the night, an immense choir of authors muttering inside their books along the unlit alphabetical shelves. Giovanni Pantano next to Pope, Dumas next to his son, each one stitched into his own private coat, together forming a low, gigantic chord of language. I picture a figure in the act of reading, shoes on a desk, head tilted into the wind of a book, a man in two worlds, holding the rope of his tie as the suicide of lovers saturates a page, or lighting a cigarette in the middle of a theorem. He moves from paragraph to paragraph as if touring a house of endless paneled rooms. I hear the voice of my mother reading to me from a chair facing the bed, books about horses and dogs, and inside her voice lie other distant sounds, the horrors of a stable ablaze in the night, a bark that is moving toward the brink of speech. I watch myself building bookshelves in college, walls within walls as rain soaks New England, or standing in a bookstore in a trench coat. I see all of us reading ourselves away from ourselves, straining in circles of light to find more light until the line of words becomes a trail of crumbs that we follow across a page of fresh snow. When evening is shadowing the forest, small brown birds flutter down to consume them, and we have to listen hard to hear the voices of the boy and his sister receding into the perilous woods. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for my readers and my presenters and just learning everything about everyone. Little shout out to Coach Zillow. He's actually in the second row right there. So, yeah. He's on the screen. And I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and I hope you come back next year. Please help yourself to treats. Take a bunch, and the less I have to clean up. So, and I just thank you for attending tonight. Take care.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.